Hey, and welcome to the Mountain Cat Guitars podcast, where we discuss all things guitar related. My name is Doug Meyer, owner of Mountain Cat Guitars, and I've been buying and selling guitars professionally for over 25 years. From boutique guitar and amp builders, vintage guitar dealers and experts, guitar repairmen and luthiers, retailers, manufacturers, and of course guitar players, we talk to the people who buy, sell, play, and of course obsess over the things we love most, guitars. Hi everybody, this is Doug Meyer from Mountain Cat Guitars, and welcome to the Mountain Cat Guitars podcast. We are here at the Guitar Shop NYC in lovely Sunset Park, Brooklyn. We are here with Josh Grove from Protocaster Guitars.
Hey everybody!
And James Carbonetti from Carbonetti Guitars and this place. And our special guest for the podcast today will not be here because we are in New York City and the trains are a mess. And he can't get here from Manhattan. It was Chris Kush, or Chris Mojo, or Chris Such, that's all the same person. And he had Mojo Guitars in New York City and toured the world with the Headless Horseman. And it was going to be a great podcast, but he cannot get here.
Now it's going to be a garbage podcast now.
So now it's going to be awful, so you can just tune out.
Yeah, go ahead and turn it off.
But we miss Mojo, and we will do him next time, of course.
We'll do him.
Yeah, it's
we'll fix it in post.
We would like to thank our sponsors, Labella Strings, of course, the finest handmade guitar strings in the world. And they're sold here, of course, at the Guitar Shop NYC, and Labella Strings, and everywhere else that's cool. And Bob's Used Helicopters. We always appreciate Bob's support, and during COVID, Bob has not really been open because he's a pretty old guy. But when everything gets back to normal, Bob's will be back in business. And we'd like to thank our bestest fan, Andrew Follett, for supporting the podcast, of course. And he sent me some amazing mugs that his father makes. That will now be in a picture that Daniel will put there. And we want to thank Andrew, and he is super cool, and he's, for a long time, he was the only reason we did the podcast, because I think he was the only person who was watching or listening. Now there seems to be a couple other people in Europe. But thank you, Andrew. That was a very, very thoughtful gift, and you were awesome. And so what we're going to do is just talk to ourselves, because Mojo is going to be here, but we'll do that next time. But we have plenty of stuff to catch up on. So let's start with you, Josh.
Okay.
So we have a bunch of cool
Protocaster I brought some neat stuff today. So we've got a clutch of 4 guitars that I brought today. 2 of them are Blackguard style Prodocasters. The one that you've got in your hand, which is your new
actually
guitar.
My guitar.
Yeah, that's actually yours.
Well, it's one of those things where you build a guitar around the knob. You're like,
Yeah.
Like, I had the pickup.
I've got this one switch tip.
Yeah, I got.
What can we do with it?
The Guild pickup. The Guild humbucker. Did this have a name?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
I bet you they did, because everything had a name.
I called them
the Guild pickup.
But I bet you it had a name.
Isn't it the Thunder or something?
I mean, something like that.
Yeah.
I bet you they called it something, because Seth Lover designed this pickup for Guild.
Yeah.
So I bet you they gave it a name.
They're the Guild pain in the ass. And the reason for that is because they're just a little bigger than a Gibson-sized humbucker.
And
that 3-bolt pattern, which has
noticed
ears.
That.
You have to make the guard for it.
Oh my god.
I never even noticed that.
Yeah.
And then, like on a Starfire, it has 3 things like that?
So
I have a Starfire too, I never noticed that.
Yeah, the tech side of dealing with this kind of thing is just, it's irritating.
Well, that's already interesting, because I never even noticed there were 3 screws. That's
like
dumb.
Hoboken special.
They probably just didn't want it to be like a Gibson. Like, how many screws does a Gibson have? 4? We'll have 3.
Yeah.
I make it a little bigger so it doesn't fit in their hole.
And that's the thing. It's like close, but not going to work.
But the thing is, they sound amazing.
Yeah, but people were making it for themselves, not to be interchangeable
exactly.
as it is today.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no one thought they were going to pull out of one guitar, put in another guitar.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
Like, no, I made this for this guitar.
Right. It goes to this one.
But these sound amazing. They sound different too.
Yeah.
Like Seth Lover was a genius.
Oh yeah.
Because then he made the one for the Fender.
Exactly.
Which doesn't sound like this or that one. Like that one sounds like a Fender humbucker.
Yeah.
Like, and this one sounds different than a Gibson humbucker. It's a little like, how would you describe that? It sounds slightly different in this than it does in like a Starfire, because that's a hollow body guitar.
Yeah.
But these were in those SG things.
It's the what is it? The S400 or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
It's funny you mention that, because just this morning I was on Facebook, and I'm a
I've heard of that.
big deadhead, and they showed a picture of Jerry Garcia playing one of those Guilds and Bob, we were playing a '68 Les Paul Custom at a gig,
Huh.
and neither one of them owned either of those guitars.
Yeah, that is weird.
But maybe they borrowed them for that one gig. Maybe their gear didn't show.
Oh, that could be.
But it's a funny thing.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
other band stuff.
yeah, because they had a lot of guitars for a while, but everyone knows what they played.
Sure.
But this one gig, Jerry played that guitar, and Bob Weir was playing Les Paul Custom, and they sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's like everyone's like, "I want to sound like Jerry." No, just practice a lot.
Right.
You know, buying guitars isn't going to do it because he said he played a lot of different stuff for a long time.
You're giving away the
We sounded
secret.
the same, right? You know,
Yeah.
and on that one gig, you go listen to it. I was like, "Oh, I'll go listen to it."
Yeah.
It sounds like them.
Yep.
You know, it's like it's not the guitars.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
But you can hear. I mean, it has a bit of a different tone, but like it still sounds the same. He played an SG, he played
Yeah.
Strat. He had those custom guitars. It sounds the same.
Yeah, I mean, hand Stevie Ray Vaughan at ukulele, and he's gonna sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
that. Right. You know, so I was like, oh, I got to go listen to that.
Yeah.
But I would love to know the story behind it because you see that a few times. There's one gig where he's playing a double cut, TV special.
Yeah.
I don't think he owned that guitar. Maybe he just borrowed. Maybe their gear didn't turn up.
I mean, just
Or someone
visually.
bring a few guitars down to the Fillmore. Like,
That's
you
a
know.
fun guitar. You don't see enough of those.
TV double cuts.
Special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yes, that's funny because the red specials, no one
Really
everyone thinks they're
rounded.
bad. Like everyone thinks they break too easy or the neck moves around.
Really?
You know, like but they, if you drop them on the floor, they break.
Yeah.
By
Yeah,
the neck.
I mean, yeah.
And there was that thing where the neck maybe it was cut a little too close here, but
Yeah.
you can get
That
the
only
red.
existed for 1 year, though.
Right, because the TV yellow ones always sell for a lot of money because they're TV yellow, but the
Yeah.
red ones, there's red specials.
Yeah.
They're
They don't-
great.
No one
They're
wants
cool.
them. You know,
I
like
do.
once or time we saw someone selling one, or like playing one of those. Like never saw a pro that was their guitar, but there's a lot of TV yellow specials,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially with Johnny Thunders.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
everyone wanted a TV special for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are so good.
Yeah, I never had one.
Really?
Is that I mean, you've had
59.
one of everything.
I've had all of them.
Yeah, you had everything, but you have to get like a 59.
Well, that's the year that has
That's
the,
weird shit. but-
Exactly. The pickup is in
And you know what?
a strange place.
I've never owned a special. I've had only
Oh, just juniors?
So I had a...
You never even had a double cut special? I mean, single cut special?
No. Well, the only one I had was, it was a 56 Sunburst that you helped get me at Guitar Center that somebody sent back to Gibson and had
Oh right, had a
factory another dog gear put in.
That was a cool
Oh.
guitar.
And then
That's
the
right.
Les Paul controls, a switch up there, and then but it was all Gibson routed.
Right, that was a
shit.
super cool guitar. What
I
happened
was
to
like, I sold it. What do you think?
Yeah.
I sold it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
That was
own-
a
this is the only guitar I own now. It turned into that over the years.
Yep.
But that,
That
was
was
a
a cool
fun
guitar, though.
But then I had the slew of SG Juniors.
Right.
The really clean one that didn't check.
Yeah.
And then I left it in the car in Ithaca over
Oh,
tour
boy.
and it checked.
Check. Yep.
Yeah, you had a lot of
Then I had
those
that
for a while.
65 SG Junior with the tremolo.
Yeah.
That
Was
was
it
cool.
the short trim?
It was great.
They look awesome, though.
I know. You have to like.
Sometimes
make
they
the bridge.
work.
Yeah. You have to really just make the bridge right.
Yeah, like that's actually a cool tremolo, but if you could set it up to work right.
Yeah.
I played a few that worked right. Like
Yeah.
one in Chelsea, I remember John Leventhal was playing it.
Yeah, you just have to.
He's like, these are awesome. You know, like
Bridge.
when they work right.
Yeah.
It's just really just a piece of metal that's twisted up.
Yeah, and even then, sometimes that spring, that basically leaf spring, is just not going to work. I mean, I did I was doing an SG project for myself where it was basically an SG custom that I bought some husk of a thing and then sort of turned it into a custom and was like, oh, it'll be so cool with that full
Dang.
wire and.
You got the sideways one?
Well, I did that for another SG project.
That for a minute.
Because that thing is fucking useless. But the lyre I had, you literally could not tune the guitar, and so I thought, okay. Every time I'm tuning it, maybe the thing is moving around a little bit. Let me just test by clamping down the arm with a clamp. I literally had a clamp holding the arm down. Like, okay, it can't go anywhere.
Right.
Let me see if it'll hold. Nope.
Still would work.
It would not work. Just wouldn't work.
But then I've played sideways ones that work.
I
Like you
love
could
the
use them as a
sideways
tremolo.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
so
the sideways one is different because you can actually just sort of anchor it and just not do anything
Right,
with it
if you have
and
to.
have it look awesome.
It's there.
Yeah.
You gotta like fold out the arm.
Right, it's such a crazy
I
thing.
had a 62 SG custom for a minute that you had.
Oh,
The white one.
yeah. Oh, that was such a cool
It was
guitar.
on a fire. That thing was awesome.
It was on
Oh, that's
fire?
The
right.
widest neck ever.
That was Daniel's first or second? You had it after.
He had it after me.
And Kobe.
And Kobe.
I think everyone owned that
That's
guitar.
funny.
Where's that
Yeah.
thing now?
Boy, yeah, it is. It is funny how that stuff circulates too.
Yeah, we always did that. We always sold guitars back and forth.
Well, because it's so good, it's got to go through the.
Yeah, that was a cool guitar.
Yeah, you got to get on this thing, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna love it. Yeah.
But that was at 30th Street. It's like a husk forever.
Yeah,
You got to sell it to you.
Put the parts on.
And you
it.
put the parts on.
Yeah.
Daniel had it for a long time.
I
Then
toured with
Kobe
that for
wound
a
up
long
with that.
time.
Yeah,
That was my mullet guitar.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, is that picture of you playing that thing like dressed like Kiss
Yeah.
at some gig?
Yeah. Playing a torpedo and subject show.
Right.
In Kendra's basement. Bushwick.
funny.
In like 2005.
You guys play on acid.
That's almost certainly right.
That's
And
almost.
but Jeff's makeup that he did wasn't the same makeup, and his started sweating in his eye. And that was funny.
Playing, like
Yeah.
trying to
Sam was playing organ. Pickles was playing drums.
Pickles.
Matty Pickles.
Matty Pickles.
That's right. I always forget he was the drummer.
Yeah,
He was a
drummer
great
first.
drummer.
Yeah.
Wow.
He plays all the drums on our.
All right, he would play drums on the records,
Still.
right?
Yeah.
He was an awesome drummer. He was lefty, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
always a big
that's-
deal when he
that's
came and
always
sat in.
interesting.
Yeah, Phil
Phil would be
would-
like, oh, it's lefty.
Switch it all around.
And remember Pickles fell?
Yeah, I remember. I'd never seen anything like that. We were playing Sinead Bar, and we're like, oh, Pickles is going to sit in. And he went to sit on the drum stool, and he didn't even come close. He, like, landed over, like, there. He was like, woohoo! Like, he wasn't even, like, in the neighborhood. He just hit the floor. Like, his head hit the wall. We're like, dude, not even close.
Wow.
Like, he didn't even, like, graze it. He
were
just
the
completely
days.
missed it.
Yeah, always having to get the hi-hats.
Yeah, I was such a tramp. Phil would be like,
Yeah,
oh, he's
yeah.
lefty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a huge change
Oh, it's
for
like,
sure.
yeah, it's like, yeah.
And then you went to play with us one time, and there was like Dave and one of Dave's songs. They were just it was like a Wings song. There was so many changes. You're like,
I was like, I'll just play slide. You forget where we were.
Yeah.
Someplace.
At Sinead Bar.
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll play.
Yeah. You're like, come sit in. And I'm like, what are the chords? You're like, I don't know.
I don't know. This
There's
one?
lots of them, though. Fuck it.
Well, so speaking of unusual guitars that the Grateful Dead had, one of the projects you had me do.
Staring us in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Was this bass, which this thing clearly has had a weird history.
Yeah, stuff has gone on with this.
Yeah,
That's why it's
absolutely.
like. Well, I think Mojo got it somewhere, or one of the dealers we deal with in a trade for something.
I don't even. It's hard to even say what
Because I bought
exactly.
it from him here.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, I have this thing. I was like, cool.
Right, because it
Had no
had
finish.
it had had a break.
And what's doing with the headstock?
So the headstock is super. I've never seen this. Somebody cut off. It's almost certainly not going to be able to be focused on, but right here, there's a line where it's clear that original neck, original neck, original neck, cut off, new headstock added, but it's actually another Gibson headstock that was added because it's got a serial number and it's
Gibson
clearly
have done that? Could that have been a Gibson
possibly,
thing?
but I would think that they just would have put in
A
a
new
whole
neck
new
on.
neck.
Yeah, it's true, they went to
instead of this weirdo complicated
Yeah, they went to-
surgery.
yeah,
but the
well,
thing that's interesting is that in order for this sort of repair to work, they would have had to have taken off the fretboard as well.
new truss rod.
Exactly. Well, probably that and. I mean, it's more work to have done
Right.
this than just to steam out the neck and put a new damn
Or
one
throw it
in.
in the garbage.
Yeah. At that
Right.
point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like
That was done.
we
That
put an
was like a
incredible amount of
$200
money into
Yeah,
a bass
exactly.
that's worth $3.
Right, for an instrument that nobody could care less about. But, so
now we put even more money into it.
exactly. So you had me end up doing kind of the Phil Lesh.
You know, Phyllis had
bass.
that SG bass with these guild. Back then they were the guild. What are they called?
The
They were
original Guild ones I don't know,
They
but
were called something.
Yeah,
Now they're
because-
called Darkstar pickups.
right, because Curtis Novak,
Yeah.
who does a ton of awesome pickup stuff, and is ultra detailed about I want to recreate
Yeah,
this
he's
thing,
awesome.
this thing.
Makes the Darkstar pickup.
Exactly, made a set for you for this
Because
guitar.
Barry Oakley put it in his jazz bass. Everyone took these out of guild basses and put them in other things.
Right.
Or they played the guild basses. Like
Sure.
but
It's like the same as that guitar. You take your guild pick.
right to say they made these great pickups. So I think these pickups were made by Hagstrom.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, weird. Okay.
And so were some of the guild pickups, some of these other pickups, but this one wasn't. But these were Hagstrom made pickups.
Well, so
99% sure.
This
And-
was originally a single pickup bass and only had the two controls. So it was required to drill for 2 more pots, to drill for a switch, and then over the years, this thing has had like 5 different bridges, because it's clear that it had been drilled and plugged multiple times, which I ultimately had to do as
Drill
well.
and plug it.
Yeah, exactly.
One more time.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
You're
Let's go
like, I'm just
again.
going to refinish it and drill and plug it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, all right, cool.
And then refinish the thing in the cherry that it would have been. And so ultimately, your idea was that you would have a buddy of yours paint the kind
the
of
Lester's paint
swirl.
was all psychedelic, but it's
Right.
for my friend Ryan, so that's ultimately whether he wants that done or just
Sure,
wants the way
sure.
it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We could make it all crazy and psychedelic, but it's pretty cool the way it is if you just want something that sounds like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So
Did you put flat ones on it?
no, these are honestly I didn't get strings in time, so I just had to rip
Oh.
these off of something I had.
There they
Yeah,
are.
I was about to say. Yeah, they're
Oh, wall of them. But Phil had flat ones on his. That's why it
is that-
sounds like woof, woof. Yeah. Sounds like a massive upright bass.
woofy,
Yeah.
woofy
Yeah, it's
as
like,
could be.
but everyone says it was his best period of bass playing.
Yeah.
So like,
Well, so I just needed something on there.
Yeah.
And
y'all grab a flat before
right.
we go.
Honestly, these are strings that came off a bass I found on the street.
I could tell.
So
Yeah.
they're good.
Oh, exactly. They feel like.
Wow, these are like rubber bands.
And not to mention they feel like corroded and
yeah.
as though they've been in the rain, because they have.
Because they, in fact, were found in the rain.
Yeah, I was like, somebody threw away a bass? Yeah, shit, I can do something with that. Had the thing for years, and eventually it sort of yielded its strings. That's the way it's been
That's
used.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah. There's always
Oh,
going
at
to be.
least it's got strings.
Yeah, exactly. So there that is.
But it sounds great. Those pickups are great. Curtis Novak is really, really great.
Yeah, I've never met the guy, but I get the impression he's a very interesting dude.
Yeah, Adam knows.
Yeah.
But very hard to get in touch with, from what I gather. He's very.
Right?
Yes,
Another
yeah.
desert guy.
Yeah.
He's and he's like does his thing, but you have to kind of know him, kind of thing.
Right.
But Adam says he's a great guy, but but some of these guys just get like so into what they're doing.
Sure.
Like they're just someplace else now.
Yeah.
So like oh yeah, I have to check my messages in 6 months.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Right. He gets air shipments.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Curtis is like that because I don't want to say that that he's like that. But when I order these, I just called Adam, and then Curtis got right back to me.
Yeah.
And he was super cool, and he sent the pickups out really fast, and they were great. But all the guys who are really good wind up with waiting lists. So like you can't complain if you want the really good guy. How many people make those pickups? Nobody.
Exactly.
So like,
Exactly.
so it may take a second. That's what people don't understand. It's like people go,
Not
oh, couldn't get back to me.
factories.
Right.
Like, no, it's a shop.
It's a
not
guy making
Yeah.
stuff. So
It's
if
all
he's talking to you
bespoke.
on the phone, he's not making somebody's stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I talk on the phone for Josh.
Right.
If you call Protocaster, you get me.
Right.
Because if he stops and takes off his thing and stops spraying guitar to get on the phone, you're gone for an hour now.
Yeah.
Then you realize you're hungry and you have to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And you have messages. Now you're out of your.
Right. It's like slowly.
Yeah, now you're done
starting
for the
engine
morning,
again.
and then you're like,
You
oh,
can't
I'm just
just
taking a
leap right
nap.
back. Yeah.
But once you're in the zone, you should just work.
Yes.
If you have to keep stopping to answer everybody's question, you can't get anything done. So that's why everyone complains on the gear page about builders not getting right back to them.
Now, I will say, to be fair, our industry is replete with
guys who don't call you back.
who,
Yeah. No, it's terrible.
I haven't heard from my guy in 3 years.
Right,
I'm not sure if he died, but he has my money.
No, there's a lot of that shit. No doubt. Because what people don't understand is like there's a guy building stuff, and they're not necessarily business people. They didn't go to business school.
No.
They're like guys who can do this stuff, and they it's hard to run a business and do all this kind of work.
Well, it's two different kind of
two different heads.
mindsets.
Like I just sell guitars. I don't do anything. I play guitar.
Yeah.
But that's all I do is talk on the phone to people. So
Yeah.
that's why I rep people who have to build things.
Yep.
Because this way they could just build things. I'll talk on the phone.
Right. Exactly.
Most people who get a Protocaster have never talked to Josh.
Sure.
A couple here and there. Sometimes they get to you before me, but usually it goes through me.
Yeah.
If they really start asking questions that I just can't answer, I'd be like, you're gonna have to talk to Josh. I don't know the answers to these questions. But we've done tons of work with people who've never actually spoke to you.
Sure.
That's why these podcasts are actually helpful.
Yeah.
So I've sent people to the podcast.
Right. Oh, he is actually a guy.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you want to meet Josh? There's tons of podcasts. So they could see what they're dealing with.
Yes.
It's kind of really helpful.
Yeah.
That's why we started doing videos in the beginning. Like me and Daniel started doing videos at the very beginning of Mountain Cat, and this is now 11 years ago.
because when I opened that business, like, all the builders kept saying, you should make videos. Like, I was like, why? Like, people are putting like videos on YouTube and people are buying guitars. I was like, really? Because Daniel had just got out of film school.
Right.
He's like, we can make a video, So like, let's make a video. And we started making videos, like right away. Like if you look at the very first videos, they're pretty primitive.
Yeah.
Like we just opened the shop.
Well, yeah, we started like the same as like 2010.
Yeah. Yeah, 2000 at the very end of 2009.
Yeah.
And we started making videos. Daniel would come up, and the early ones are fairly primitive.
Hey, well, because it also wasn't really like super iPhone.
Well, the only person who was really doing them back then, the first video guy that we knew of was Lance Keller. Maybe there was somebody before.
Oh yeah.
But that's how we've heard of Lance. Is everyone's like, oh, you got to see this guy in Texas makes videos.
Right.
And we're like, all right. So and we're like, there he was. At first he was doing these cool ones like in a barn with hot rods.
Yeah, it was for Destroy All Guitars.
Yeah, they were all through Destroy All Guitars. He was like the face of Destroy All Guitars, because I've never talked to I've talked to Cliff many times, but I don't know what he looks like. Like he wasn't the face. Lance was really like, besides he's a great guitar player, so he could do the videos.
Sure, yeah.
But he would do all the videos, and he was like I think he worked exclusively for Cliff.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, okay, we could probably
that's
do
how I
this.
met Lance, because I worked with Cliff.
Right.
It was
everybody did.
through.
He was held up.
Interesting. And for you as well? You met Lance through Cliff?
That's how I knew of him, because Brian Monty was working with Cliff for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't believe it was even that long. Holy shit. I'm surprised it was
that was
a minute.
knowing Brian.
God damn.
But I think he was the first one to say, I'm working with this guy and he made these videos, and he sent me a video and it was Lance playing a Blues Master, and back then they were like in like a cool hot rod garage.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh cool, and then Lance called me. That's how I met him.
He reached out to you.
Yeah, because he was doing his own. Was it Retro Channel even back then? He just called me. He's like, hey, it's Lance Keller. I'm like, from the videos? It's like, hey man, I love your shit. So we became best friends on the phone.
That's funny.
So he's like, I saw your videos, they're really cool. I was like, oh, awesome. So
that's cool. I didn't realize that was.
He just reached out because he was doing Retro Channel already.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'd love for you to be a dealer. I'm like, done. Let's be best friends. Want to do karate in the garage? But he was just Lance, like the coolest guy. So I was like, awesome, let's do all kinds of stuff, So that's
funny.
But that's how the video thing started. And then there were a few guys early on. There was some guy who could really play. I forget his Greg V or something. And then he was that his name? He was a really great player. Was doing videos, and then I think if I got the story correctly, who knows if it's a real story?
Yeah, it's Greg's Guitars, right?
Yeah, or I think he was doing it for someone else
channel?
or something. He was just this great guitar player who was making these really good videos. This was in the dark ages of videos, and I think he went to work for one of the major guitar companies, and then he couldn't make videos anymore.
Oh, this must be a different Greg then.
I think it was like Greg V or something, but there have been so many of these guys over the years. But just fabulous guitar player, making cool videos. And we're like, whoa, this guy's really cool. But everybody had a kind of different take on it. Some people talk. I think that guy just played.
Yeah.
Didn't really say stuff. Our videos early on, we would like tell the whole story. Like they were like 8 minutes long. They'd be like, this is a Doug Cower guitar.
Right.
And Doug Cower was born on this day. It would give this whole long involved thing, and I'd be trying to like memorize this, and then I'd
here's
memorize it and say, it took forever, it was stressful.
Third grade transcript.
It was like literally stressful. Like Daniel would be coming out and be like stressing out. Like, we have to make 3 of these videos. Like, to memorize all this shit. Because they didn't want to be reading it. It seemed lame. Some guys you could tell just reading it.
It's like a hostage video.
Yeah,
I am fine. They are treating us well.
Yeah, it seemed wrong to just read it. Although I should have just read it because it was so fucking stressful. Now you would have an iPad.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had those even, but but.
It's like a little teleprompter.
Yeah, and then after a while we realized but people were into it. Like you would make 8-minute long videos. Everyone was making them that long.
Yeah.
Everyone told the whole story. So everyone was just kind of copying everybody else. Then they started getting shorter, and then Daniel kind of hit. Then the Instagram kind of came out, and Daniel's like, these things only need to be 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
You don't need to say anything. I'd be like, that'd be great. But we would set up this whole room in my upstairs and hide weird things in the background, which we still do. But If you look close, there's always something fucked up in the background.
Yeah.
That was
Wait a
just
minute.
the way we were.
Is that a clown making out with a
Yeah, there would always be some dumb shit if you look close enough.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we entertained ourselves.
Hey,
But-
I do.
Well, so
Yeah. All right. We digress badly.
additionally,
Fucking Mojo.
got
Pissing me off.
another makeover, which
Yeah, this one's really nice. Well, this is the one we tried to fade.
Yeah,
Well, not
so-
we, you.
this is
I
actually the
didn't do
first
anything.
time. I mean, it's a simple thing, but it's the first time that I've ever actually done the parts shadow stuff
Does that have to
by
pick
fade. Exactly. So if you were to remove parts, you'd see the kind of more cherry ring under the poker chip, and the more cherry square under the
And some of the guard too.
pickup ring. Exactly.
That's so cool. Like the Gary Moore one, the
Yeah.
second one he had has like a very clear
Yeah,
pick
it
guard.
does.
And he called it Stripe or something.
Yeah.
It is stripe, and actually I did a version of that
I remember
guitar
that.
for Steve Jackson.
Yeah, he had us
Oh,
do all the Gary Moore guitars.
for sure. But the way that I ended
Well,
up
that's the
doing
first time I
that,
heard there was a second one.
exactly.
I was like, what do you
I
mean?
didn't know.
I always thought it was the same guitar.
And so I ended up having to cut out a shape, spray like fake shadow under there, and then do the rest of the guitar. So this is actually the first time that we've done that.
But you got it to fade a lot.
naturally. Yeah, it's
'Cause,
actually.
I keep my Les Pauls like in a room, like in the sun, trying to fade them.
Sure.
But they don't really fade that much.
Yeah.
And you told me why.
Yeah, well, so the way we did this one was just spray the burst, so it's basically just the color coat of the thing, then fade that, then shoot clear over top.
So it's the clear that's preventing them from.
Or it at least slows that process down.
Right,
It
yeah.
takes it from being, a couple of days worth of time into a couple
Years
of
and
decades
years.
worth
Right.
of time.
Yeah,
It
because
also
they clearly
depends on
fade.
the
Well, I think a
nature
lot of
the
those
finish.
ones that faded a lot maybe were in-store windows.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Or
Absolutely.
or that stuff from the 50s was just fading faster. They say that whatever the red out of
Right,
eyes
the
Yeah.
A-line
was
dies,
bleeding out of
yeah.
it very quickly.
You leave
'cause
this one in the sun.
Some of those.
Yeah, this was an issue of just leaving the thing in the sun. And actually, at the same time as doing this one, another customer, great dude, Dante, had me do one where there was like the tag shadow,
That's cool.
So on original Les Pauls, they would have the little,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
kinda
said something,
hang
yeah.
tag, exactly,
Yeah,
that
Gibson
hung
string.
from the
Oh, and if it
switch.
sat in a window, it would have that.
It would have like a little square kind of
Wow.
shape.
But this one
That's-
looks really good faded back because this was a much darker finish.
It was.
So I
This
saw
was
it,
a
you know.
much more strident cherry type
But this
burst.
looks a lot more like things you see in the Beauty of the Burst book because all
Yeah.
those guitars are slightly faded.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And the back is faded a little bit too. It's kind of hard to tell in
The
this
back
lighting,
fade
but
too much.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the backs are usually pretty red still.
They
'cause
are.
probably don't see the sun.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Go down to brown.
Yeah, sometimes
sure.
they turn really brown, but they may have.
It depends.
They were probably different paint at that point because like those 60 Les Paul Juniors turned completely brown.
Oh yeah. Or it'd be brown on top and then like red.
Yeah.
But I used to think when because those used to be in the window at Chelsea,
And
especially in the
so cheap.
60s. No one wanted a 60s double cut Junior.
I know.
No one.
Yeah.
You never could sell that guitar. It had a puny neck. But I always thought those were stripped, and that's why they were brown.
Right.
But I remember the first time we sold a double cut Junior, a red one for real money, like $1,000. I couldn't
You're like,
believe it.
oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, someone paid that for a red one? And they were the best guitars. Now they're our favorite guitars.
Yeah.
Back then, no one bought those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could buy the brown ones for $500.
Yeah.
Or even, like a little more by then, by the time we were at Chelsea. But a brown one was still probably only, $1,500
Yeah.
for a perfect one. And the red ones were cheap. They're like
That was right when I got into them. They went from that price to 25
Right.
to 30.
Right at that point, they went crazy. Right, all of a sudden, they were
I
expensive.
was watching it slipping.
No.
There's that one TV one I wanted to buy from Danny that had a broken headstock, and it was like $4,500.
that's a great one,
And they
yeah.
were like, this was 2004,
Right.
Oh man.
and that was for a mint one. And he's like,
Yeah.
find another one.
Oh.
And he was right. And he was
Yeah,
right.
it's funny because they went wacko, right?
They went to like,
Because everything crashed in 2009, so it must have been like the 3 or 4 years leading up
Yep.
to that.
Yeah.
And
It's like
they
I was
were
at
just-
Chelsea and you were too, or then
Yep.
we went to 30th Street, and Roger was at Guitar Center, and prices were just. Anytime you
Guitar
looked up the
Center
prices, they'd gone up.
ramping
Guitar
everything.
Center had a lot to do with the prices going that way.
They were
Because gold
buying
tops
things
went from
late.
like 10 grand to 20 grand to 40 grand.
Yeah.
In the course of like a year.
Wow.
Well, they were just
You know,
buying stuff for retail.
They were
Yeah.
paying such high prices, and they were putting them up for such high prices. And I think people were buying them at those prices, and it was just going up and up and up. But it was doing that in everything. It was just guitars, with like Florida real
Everything.
estate,
Sure,
stock
sure.
market stuff, like.
People had too much money.
Or it just happens, like, you know, because if
Just
real
bubbles.
estate's going up, guitars are going up. Like, but it seemed like it would just keep going up. So like the guitars were really doing that.
Yeah.
Like outlandish jumps in prices on things. Like,
And then stuff that at one point had been garbage that you'd throw
well, then
away.
it started with
would
70s
become-
guitars.
Right, right.
Because
Oh,
the 60s guitars,
this
all of a
is one
sudden
of
the
the good
75
ones.
Strat
Right.
is becoming something.
Like, that's $3,500.
Right,
now.
Les
Like,
Paul
what?
Deluxes,
Yeah.
you know, like that no one would ever want. Or all of a sudden big money.
But there would always be these. Oh well, this happens to be one of the good ones then.
Right, but it wasn't even the good ones anymore. It's now it's 79 Les Pauls. Like just they were just going up with the price of the 60s stuff
Yeah.
because like the late 60s anything Les Paul, like 68 Black Beauty, 68
Yeah.
Gold Top,
Well,
or
'cause
those
those are the
weird
real
anomaly
bodies.
ones.
Right.
Right, the early 70s, those all of a sudden were 10, 15 grand, where they were like 4 grand before that.
Yeah.
You know, and those were really desirable because you could get one.
Yeah.
You know, because all of a sudden now a Gold Top was, you know, a Gold Top with P90s is 40 grand.
And there's like the early 70s 54 reissue.
Those are really
Right,
cool,
yeah,
though. And you know what I never understood, and Mojo just explained to me the other day. Mojo knows fucking everything. Can't believe Mojo's not here, because he just knows so much about this stuff. But those ones that they called standards in the early '70s, which
Yeah.
are humbuckers and a wraparound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why those were?
Why?
In '55. You know, they went to two pneumatics,
Yeah.
and anything that had a stop bar, they just had no use for, so they put the
So-
bodies away.
Oh, so they had like a surplus.
Yeah, because they just came out with the two pneumatics, the greatest
Yeah,
thing ever.
yeah.
What are we gonna do with these?
Right, why are
Supposedly
we
they just
gonna
put them in a
step
big closet or warehouse, and then someone found them and said, okay, you know, so they just
Use
drilled
up
them.
this
They weren't
stock.
drilled for humbuckers yet, or they were drilled for P90s. They just drilled for humbuckers,
I see.
and still had stop
What
bars.
is those?
Yeah.
So I've never seen one of those in person.
Me neither.
I remember Guitar Center got one when we were doing all that, and by the time I went to go check it out, they'd sold it. But I never saw one of those in person, like the one with the humbucker and the wraparound.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like, I just love that combination.
Huh.
Well,
But-
you've got a retop that's on its way
Right,
back.
that will
that's
be
gonna
that
happen.
guitar or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
right.
that.
Well, how about we do that on this one? Or should we do the P90s?
P90s, because that's gonna be it. Well, let's no.
I was
just
about to say,
segue
yeah, what do we got
beautifully
here?
into that.
Well, we can do that on the black one.
Yeah.
on the
Or we'll just make a whole nother guitar. We could Jeff Beckman do an Oxblood.
I love an Oxblood.
Everyone likes Oxblood.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
is.
We can do like an Oxblood refin where it's like gold under and then
Oh, wow.
Boom. And then go down.
All right, that's gonna be the fourth Golden Road guitar then. All right, so let's do that one since we segued so beautifully into it. So the Golden Road guitars we've talked about on the podcast many, many times. They were a guitar that we came up with that James builds, but the idea, and we did a whole podcast just on the idea for it before it was a guitar.
55.
Yeah, the idea was to, because I have a 55 Gold Top, and it's pretty sweet.
I love it.
But the idea was to build a guitar based on that guitar, but it didn't have to look like it or be it. It just had to act like it.
Yeah.
Like those guitars just do something when you play them. So the idea was to have James hang out with it and then build a Carbonetti guitar just based on the way that makes you feel. But it didn't have to look like a Gold Top because anyone can build a guitar that looks like a Gold Top. So this kind of came out like a Gold Top meets a Midas meets a big speed guitar with, and then the way you finished the first one looked like a D'Angelico.
And a lot of the binding.
And and then we put many Stingers, which was a Stromberg
Yep.
tribute, because I saw a Stromberg that had side stingers.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Lark Street Music and we saw that. I was taking pictures of it and sending it to James, like, dude, side stingers. So like, put those on everything. So I think that guitar ultimately had 9 stingers or something.
It does.
I played at a gig yesterday.
Yeah.
I love that
There's a
guitar.
lot of stingers on that.
But that was the first Golden Road guitar. I have it, of course.
The
And
bee's
it's not
nest.
gold.
No.
Which would completely screw
I
our
was
plan
about
up.
to say.
But we got the top on the other one was so flamey. We're like, the rules you can't paint over a flaming top, so the other one's not gold. This one's got a little flame, but I think
So
it's good enough to be gold.
all that wood too is out of Greenwood Cemetery.
Yeah, the top.
From next door, the maple top. So this one's going to be great. It's all mahogany, and then it has the rosewood. It's actually the same piece. So this guitar and your guitar share the same piece of wood for the neck.
Right.
So it's the same piece of mahogany, and then the fingerboard is the same piece of rosewood.
From Martin.
Yeah, from Martin that was sold in the 70s because it was too red.
Right. Yeah, it is definitely red. Well,
Perfect.
but it would have looked weird on a Martin.
So
Yeah.
I never noticed. So you don't actually do a neck angle on these?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a little bit more.
Okay,
Totally.
gotcha.
Yeah, I pull it back quite a bit.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
But my Golden Road guitar is really unique. Like it's like a vintage guitar, like where it's quirky. It's not perfect everywhere.
Yeah.
So like, it's just not perfect. Like when you play up the board, it changes. Like vintage guitar.
Yeah.
Because the piece of wood, you could feel it doing stuff. So
Totally.
like certain areas it just chirps.
Yep.
Where like a new guitar doesn't do that. I don't know how they get rid of that. Like, how do you get rid of the awesome part? That
Yeah.
they've managed to do it. But it's probably just mass-producing guitars.
Yeah,
Just,
it's
you can't do the same thing. It's, lots of the same kind of wood. The lacquer's way too thick.
Yeah.
It's not built by hand. It's built by cyborgs
Yeah,
from
it's like,
hell.
that's what we love about this guitar. It's like, it's not
Right.
perfect.
Some
but
guy
it
made
is
that,
perfect.
right. But they have personality. Every one of those sounds different.
Totally.
Like old juniors, they all sound a little different.
Yeah.
But they sound amazing. They don't always feel the same.
Totally.
Different guys carve those necks, but they feel amazing. They didn't
Yeah.
hire guys who carve necks shitty. They hired good guys.
And then, so this one we're going to put a horseshoe on it because you put a Bigsby on everything. And then
Bigsby's
I'm going to
shit.
make a dog bone, like an aluminum, Bigsby brick.
Yeah, the dog bone is the coolest thing.
Yeah, it
it's so
really is
kooky
neat.
and unadjustable.
So this will be the base of it, and then I'll just carve a huge.
Yeah,
piece of
right.
it.
You can only do height, right?
You can't make it adjust.
Yeah, you better hope it's right.
Well, if you use 13 flat ones, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. But I'll carve it so it's all intonated.
Oh, that's gonna be neat. Ish. Esque.
And I use 9s, so it's never intonated.
I'll be fine. You bend it in.
Whatever. Can't get hung up
And
on
this will
these
be
things.
another set neck as well. And it's a one-piece mahogany body.
And the third one that we're gonna make,
gonna be like
I got a
the
set of
Black
pickups.
Beauty.
Nightbob gave them to me. Walter Becker had them made by Seymour Duncan. A set of staple pickups that are humbucker size.
Yeah.
What?
And Walter never used them. He just got them. And then Nightbob, he gave them to Nightbob, who gave them to me.
Wow. Oh, that's
So we're going to build the guitar just as a
Around
tribute to
those
Walter and Bob.
Yeah.
And so it'll be a Black Beauty one of these. Which are
Oh,
really
cool.
With a dog
Wow.
bow. And then,
Now, are you going to do like a bunch of binding for that to help, convey that Black Beauty look?
yeah, we do 5 with lots of stingers.
Totally.
yeah.
Stingers.
White stingers.
Right. A lot of stingers.
Stingers make it sound better and go faster.
Oh, absolutely.
Way
yeah.
faster.
Definitely going to go much faster.
Far
There's a stinger on
faster.
every.
Stromberg knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, just did
Yeah,
this one.
exactly. I mean, it's an arrow indicating speed.
Right. It's like if you take those off, it doesn't go slow.
Right. It's
A lot of people don't realize.
yeah. You put the brake on the
Yeah,
guitar.
you want a fast guitar, then you get a stinger.
like
Whoa,
this guy.
that's a big stinger.
Stingers on
That's a
everything.
massive stinger.
Yeah, the size of the stinger also
It makes it even go
correlates
even
with
faster,
speed,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I start
Extra large
mine
stinger.
at a weird spot. I don't think
Yeah.
that normally people do.
No. Why would they?
Why would they? Should we do this? So this one's for my buddy Sarek, and we
That's a
just
cool
carved
one.
the note.
That is very cool.
That is a big stinger. That guitar's gonna be very fast.
It's
Yeah.
extremely fast.
And then you gotta have the point on the end.
Yep. Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
that
there-
balances it out so it's aerodynamically correct.
Yeah.
right.
Once it starts going really fast, you don't want to start
Exactly.
wild.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there would have been a lot of drag.
Yeah. Coefficient science.
Exactly. So, I mean, as with all of your stuff, there are just so many neat, eccentric little details that just lend so much personality to the guitar. I mean, like this little cutaway here,
Yeah.
and the heel, and it's probably hard to see, but it's actually carried over in the neck as well.
Yeah.
Just a neat little ornamental feature.
I do them way thicker with a real thick slab.
I was about to say that thing is like an inch thick on that
Yeah.
that particular neck.
We've been building this one for a while.
Yeah. Just getting it all ready, and then
But this one looks like it'll be pretty much done by.
now it's here.
Yeah.
And
We'll hopefully do a podcast in another couple of weeks. We'll
Yeah.
see where it's at then. We can
very
bring the other
comfortably
one.
rounded fretboard on this too.
Yeah, that's kind of my rule: is no sharp corners unless
Yes.
you're making a point
Yeah.
or a stinger.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Then it's
right.
lots
the only
of
point is,
sharp
yeah.
things.
It's like this pickguard is gonna have a big point here.
Yeah, you were showing me that that this one is going to have that neat tortoiseshell
Yep.
plus a plate like kind of a Fender type situation.
And then a Jazz Master Trem.
Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't even notice that.
Do you use like the May Street thing?
This will have that.
That's a pretty amazing thing.
It's awesome.
Have you tried the what is that other one called that has the little groove cut in it so the like the B string can have it's like the depressed or recessed.
Yeah.
It's basically a mastery, but it has like these little grooves cut in there so different strings have different break angle across.
There's so many cool innovations right now going on.
For sure.
Thing.
Yeah.
Like even that Bixby thing I just saw. Do you ever see the what's it? It's the what's the thing that goes under the Bixby? The
Vibramate?
Vibramate makes a thing for Bigsby's. That to put the strings you have to go under it. It's a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah.
It's called a spoiler that clicks onto so the strings are back.
Push it down, right?
No, so you can string it easier.
Yeah.
Oh.
It just has it so there's like grooves.
So you just put the strings on back here instead of having to loop them under there.
Oh god, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
The work. Imagine trying to do that again.
It's fine.
It's like it's lame.
Dude, in my sleep.
I just saw it for the first time the other day. Someone consigned a bunch of guitars, and I was like, "Oh my god, what is this thing? Like this is smart." But I could see it not sounding the same. But at a gig, you'd be able to string it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I broke a string on a Bixby guitar at a gig a few weeks ago. I still haven't changed it. Poor guitar sitting there without a string. And I was like, I knew I want to take it to a gig, but I'm not changing that string.
But then,
That's one string.
then you have to have both a hand holding it down there.
Yeah, then you would go hear it fall over there. You're like, I'm gonna die.
I'll come for lessons. I'll show you the way.
But imagine trying to do that in the dark at a gig with a bunch of people staring at you.
Yes.
It sucks. Just, all you have to do is don't tune your guitar. Don't change it, because then when you change it and then you change the string.
It's a nightmare.
Because if you tune it back up, and then you put the string on, then you have to slowly tune everything.
Right,
down.
everything's adjusted to different tensions.
Just don't.
That's why I thought that thing was really because it's just a smart idea. Whether it's not perfect or changes the sound slightly, it's just a really smart idea.
Oh, it's
there's so many like people coming up with these, but like even the Vibramate by itself is a great idea.
It's very clever.
Like we were going to do it on this guitar.
Yeah.
We wanted a Bixby, except you can't get Bixby's because they're made in China, right?
Yeah. Well, so
no one has a Bixby available. I think that's why. I know they're made in China.
So the ones that we're using, it's just on back order right now. Although I don't think this particular one is Chinese, but maybe you're right.
Are there American made? Well, maybe everyone bought the American made ones because the Chinese ones you can't get.
Because there's the licensed ones that are, and then there's I think they are American. Well,
I saw somewhere it said American made Bixby, so there must be American made ones, but we just went to order a Bixby. I didn't even care which one it was.
Yeah,
we just wanted to put a Bixby on this guitar.
So this will get one.
And we were going to put a Vibramate on it just in case.
Screw it on.
When we do something with it, if someone wants it to.
Let's nearly commit to it.
Whoever bought it to have the option.
Change it.
You think so? Yeah.
Changes the sound. I can see it changing the sound.
Yeah, it's more connected.
It's not connected.
And
it's not screwed into the body.
If you want to talk physics, it also changes the break angle because it's on a platform.
It does.
I can see that.
It's true.
Right.
It's all changed.
No, it's cool if you just want to try a Bixby and see if you like it. It's a cool idea.
Exactly. It's like the dressing room.
Right.
Of a Bixby.
Right. If you go, I love this, just screw it into the top. It's fine. I'm never taking it off. But for a lot of people, they kind of want a Bixby. They see them on there, but they put it on and they realize, I'm never going to use this.
You got to put a Bixby on that, like the big long one with the telly pickup in it.
That's those are.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite.
That thing is so.
And those are available.
Big honking. That's awesome.
You know what we gotta do? We gotta put that on a Junior.
The telly thing. I don't think anyone's ever. I've never seen that done. I don't think. I'm sure someone's done it because everyone's done everything. Probably.
Maybe we do that on this.
And just use some kind of crazy single coil.
Yeah, let's make it a gold top.
I know. It'll still be gold.
But you do occasionally see that thing for sale by itself. Because most people take it off.
No, you can buy them.
Yeah.
That thing is
still
cool.
make the new one. They still make
that's right. They make one. But yeah, the Fender Bixby thing is crazy.
It has a place for the dog bone.
Yeah. That's a crazy tailpiece.
That's awesome.
It's like that. What's that?
And it's like has the angle on the back.
What's the Gibson like the thin hollow body thing that has the whole pick guard and the Melody Maker pickup stuck in? What's that? 120T?
Oh,
I don't know this one.
It's a thin body, but the pick guard is this big.
Plastic, like the Epiphone, right?
Yeah, there's an Epiphone. It's not. It has a name, the Epiphone one. And one of your friends plays it all the time.
Yeah.
It's a Melody Maker shape.
Melody Maker. No, it's a Melody Maker pickup.
Yeah.
Stuffed into a giant plastic pick guard, and over time the pick guards always wind up warping.
But it's like it comes up.
Yeah, it's
like
gigantic.
a molded piece
But it's
of
a
plastic.
thin body.
What?
It's a thin body
No,
hollow
you know
body
it.
Okay.
with no cutaway.
It's like a 125. But it's not.
But no cutaway. So it's a
Exactly.
120T when it's a Gibson, and when it's an Epiphone, it has a name.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I knew someone who I sold one
It
to in
sounds
Chelsea.
great.
That was his main guitar. He used it for a million years.
Weird.
But what happens is that gigantic plastic pickguard always warps.
I mean, it sounds like
Pickup
some
gets
weird
really close to the strings.
It's
like
just so
the-
crazy. It's this gigantic plastic pickguard.
Yeah.
But I forget the Epiphone name for it. But when it's a Gibson, it's a 120T.
I mean, that's like the Hagstrom that has all that stuff built in, inclling the jack, which
Yeah.
of course breaks.
That's the dumbest idea.
Yeah, I mean,
It
obviously
just
collapses.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And it's at an angle, so it's, definitely gonna collapse.
breaking. Yeah.
It was a really strange
No
idea.
question.
Yeah, the 120T was this bizarre guitar, but for some reason they sound amazing. Like one of your friends, it's their main.
Sasha.
I just thought of it. The girl who
Sasha
played here,
Dobson.
right?
Yeah.
And that's her main guitar. I
When
think
were
she has the
these-
Epiphone version.
When
Yeah.
were these things made?
The 60s.
60. Weird.
That's right. It's her main guitar,
Yeah.
and she sounds
cannot for
amazing.
life
on
of me
it.
picture this thing.
Yeah, go. What's her full name? She plays with
Sasha
Nora Jones,
Dobson.
right?
Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah, so just go Google her, and that's her guitar.
Yeah.
All right.
It's great.
And they sound amazing. But it's just this weird anomaly. It's like all those guitars with the middle pickup that no one would ever buy, like
Yes.
like the 125 with the middle pickup or the 330.
It's just
with the
it
middle
goes
pickup.
like whatever is available. Like now a 330 or like a casino's expensive.
Right.
There's
Right.
that one.
Yeah.
Right, but we for some
sounds
reason thought they
great.
sounded bad back then. You plug one in, you're like, sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like like the super distortions.
It's
like,
just that visually it looks
or
odd.
somehow you get in
Now,
your
when
head
are
that
you
they
gonna-
sound bad.
I know, because that was like the
Like
cheap
those
one.
suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those from
It
the
wasn't a two
70s.
pickup.
Right.
I remember at Chelsea, like taking them out, we just toss them in the garbage. Now they're like $300.
You know what I want to see is
Just go through
that
the garbage.
guitar that somebody added 2 other dog
Yeah.
ears.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That
like
would
a
be cool.
Switchmaster type thing or something.
Just a bunch of
Yeah,
knobs.
yeah. Oh,
There's got to be
just
one.
knobs everywhere.
You're a Firebird with 3 dog ears or something.
Ooh.
Wow, that's
That was
a cool
G's
idea.
trick always is
Dog
getting a
ears.
special and you put the dog ear in the bridge because
Yeah.
it sounds better than the soap bar because you're screwing it to the wood.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So all his TV special was
Yeah, you can see on his guitars, I like
a
that.
dog ear.
Huh, okay.
But it makes perfect sense, and it
They
looks
also
cool.
look cool, too.
It just looks cool. Well,
The
Alan
big
Collins
ornamental
had
thing.
the dog ear in the Firebird.
Man, that's cool.
He had 2 Firebirds he did weird things to. One of them had a mini humbucker, and one of them had a dog ear.
Huh.
In the bridge, I believe.
Okay.
And I think he had the Firebird.
I'm surprised it even
Well, we have
fits
to make
across
this.
that center block. Like it must
They just made it
you
fit.
know? Yeah.
We gotta
These guys
make
were all
this
like, the fathers were woodworkers or something. They just made shit fit.
So we gotta do this project.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I never saw that guitar ever.
What?
That's Rick Derringer.
What is wrong with that?
That is.
Get the wraparound.
That is.
But this is like
super,
73.
Super weird.
So it wasn't aftermarket parts. Those are real parts.
Yeah, no, you can tell it's a Gibson 60s wraparound.
yeah, wrapper and it's.
But I doubt it.
And telly knobs.
But does it have a route for a tremolo?
It looks like it was a hardtail.
So, oh, maybe he bought a hardtail and did it. I doubt Fender would have put a wraparound on.
No.
Fender had nothing to do with it.
No.
It was just
This
some
was- yes.
redneck.
Well, it's
'Cause
probably
you
cool. They
could-
probably loved his Junior.
Well, you can see the screw holes.
Yeah.
But I bet you if you Google this, maybe
it's
he
matching
maybe he
Headstock.
had that
Yeah,
guitar for one
yeah,
day,
I
or
was
maybe he
about to say,
used
yeah.
it. You know, it's hard to. You know, if you Google pictures from him, maybe you find he used that all the time, or he just liked it for this photo shoot. You know,
Wow.
not even his
Matches
guitar.
his pants.
It matches pants, right? Like, I need a red guitar.
Just to
so
show
go
you.
out there and give you a red guitar.
Holy smokes! Yeah, that's pretty
We
neat.
gotta make one of those.
Never seen that. before.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wraparound
People have
strap.
done amazing things. Even when there was like no parts, like people did amazing
That probably had the
things.
biggest shim in the neck ever.
Oh yeah. yeah.
Just stuff like, just
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean,
2x4 under
It would
there.
have to need a lot.
You could carry your ID in the
In there,
hole
yeah.
that's left.
But it's amazing. People have always been doing these things to guitars. Like ideas we came up with, like, oh yeah, some guy had in 1972.
Yeah, tinker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, guys were always messing with these things.
Yep.
You know, like.
And
Absolutely.
because back then they were cheap.
Yeah.
A
Who
junior
cares?
was
Also, there was no
150.
guitar shops really. Like they had techs, but like people just did stuff themselves, or their dads, who worked in factories. things
Oh,
like that.
I know
Well,
how
you
to
had
paint a
to do-
guitar.
Or you knew
I
Rick
got a
Turner.
Yeah,
brush.
how many old headstock repairs do you see with 2 screws?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gary Rossington's. Yeah,
Was that right? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
the,
Remember that Junior
Rosington Les Paul comes with 2 screws in it.
I almost
God.
bought this Junior when I was in Chelsea that was from a farm, and there was a metal plate.
Yeah, you see a lot of
sandwiching it.
that.
And Danny talked me out of it because I think he wanted to buy it.
But you see a lot of like, guys who obviously had, they could fix things.
Yeah,
Right.
leave the plate.
I know when we were kids, like some guy's father was an electrical engineer, and like someone's distortion box went broke, and they're like, oh, his father will fix it. He opens it up, he's like, how much do you guys pay for these things? I'm like,
Right.
$85. He's like,
There's 10
it's like
cents
3 cents worth of
stuff.
shit
Yeah.
here.
But it sounds cool.
He's like,
That guy
I could
figured
literally
it
make you
out.
this in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, making it sound right's another thing. But he was just like, this costs money?
It's the idea that you take.
Right. I mean, yeah. It's like, this is just some wood. You can buy the wood for
Yeah.
Sure.
$50.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like, no, but he
It's like,
was
but what
just
can
like,
you do with it?
he's like, there's nothing in here.
Yeah, you open up those big Fuzz Maestro.
It's like 2 capacitors.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God. Yeah.
It's like this big and this much.
This
Yeah,
stuff
you're,
and a
you're buying a
switch.
storage space.
Yeah, you're buying a couple pots.
Yes, exactly.
But to make it sound that way is a different thing,
Yeah.
But
That's fun.
But it's not hard to make a distortion box. Like it's hard to make one that does what a Klon Centaur does.
Sure.
Or why.
It's a nuance.
I don't even know if they know why that did what it did.
That's a good question. I don't know
looks
anything
cool.
about the history of those.
I have one.
You have one.
I have a real one. Yeah, and it is pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Like, it does do
But when
this.
did those come out?
I guess it was probably, I don't know, maybe the 90s? Not from the 70s.
No.
I don't know
wouldn't
much about
think
his
so,
history
anyhow.
because I wasn't I don't really use pedals that much. But I remember the first, I sold one for $1,200 to Brad Whitford at 30th Street.
Yeah.
This was a long time ago because I've been
And that was like
I've been in my business for
so
11 years.
expensive.
And I was
What
like,
are they up
I
to
just
now?
got $1,200 for a distortion box. But 3 weeks later, they were $1,500. Now
Yeah.
I started just selling them for $4,500.
Come on.
Yeah, there was one up now
45?
for $5K.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
But it's like the PAF of,
It's worth
whatever.
somebody
Yeah,
else
yeah.
got paid
No, I
for
mean,
it.
once you start teasing at the thread of why a thing
But
is
even his
valuable.
new pedal, because he has a pedal now, and it says this. It's written something on the thing. But he's like, I am not responsible for the hype that surrounds my pedals or something. He wrote people probably call him and go, dude,
Yeah.
why was your thing $5,000? He's like, wasn't when I
Yeah.
sold it.
Not
I
my
didn't get
fault.
$5,000 for one of those.
Yeah.
But he does have a new pedal, and supposedly it's better than the Centaur.
Yeah.
But it does, there was a thing. That's why I always get those things. Like I had an opportunity to buy
Remember
one.
you had that the little round of the Excalibur? That was another one of those other weird.
I had it.
Didn't you have that one? You got it from trainer or something?
That was the Centaur.
No, well that one. But I thought there was this little round distortion pedal.
Oh, like a fuzz face type?
No, it was
type
like this big.
bass? Oh, what? Really?
A little round one that you got really into for a minute.
That sounds
Back
like
in
one
the
of
day
those,
or now?
Those,
Back in the day.
way
Oh.
huge
it was
pedals.
No, because I didn't really buy that many pedals. I always just use tube screamers.
Yeah, but it was like a version of that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, those were Maxons.
No.
Oh.
Well, that yes, but not
Because
the
Chris
one
was
I'm talking about.
involved with the
This
Maxons.
was like a little circle.
Oh, really?
I don't remember that.
What was his involvement?
He was working with them
Huh.
to do the original Maxon pedals when they came out. Their version of the 808. It was really great.
Yeah.
But I don't even think he worked at Chelsea very briefly.
Yeah.
In between those bands, but I think it was before he worked there. I don't know how long he worked there. Not for very long because it was in between.
And that was right after him. Then
Right.
we ended up having a ton
Yeah, and then
of
he
mutual
joined-
friends.
Yeah, then he joined Bush, and that was it.
And now making him a fretless guitar. I'm making him one of these of fretless.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's fretless guitar is a funny thing. Like that was in the late '70s. Like there was one or two guys who played it.
Yeah. My buddy Mason.
I think what the guy in the Police was playing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and one
Yeah.
other. I think so.
You gotta be real good.
Yeah, I don't even know how it works, but I assume
There's
it's
a
like a
lot of
fretless
this.
bass. But I assume you make a chord and
I
try to
mean,
get it
yeah.
in tune somehow.
Bizarre
But it never
slide.
really caught on. Like I think there's like a
maybe you can
jazz guy like
understand
Kevin
why.
Eubanks, or one of those
Yeah.
guys was playing fretless guitar. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for solos you could see.
Totally,
You're just
but
bending into
chords.
notes.
Yeah,
you could find
God,
all these
for a
places.
chord.
So yeah, you make chords. Yeah, you have to be really good.
Yeah, that's
that
a
Bigsby.
super.
Yeah, you're guaranteed to not be in tune.
Whoa!
It was in tune for a second, but now it's not.
All
I
over
should
the
just put a
road.
Bigsby on it just for fun.
And a tremolo. Like a tremolo pedal would be crazy out of tune
Okay.
all the time.
Right, like a
Yeah,
pitch
that
shifter
Yeah,
pedal built
there's
in.
no possible way another instrument could play with
Yeah,
me.
it comes with a super.
I'm guaranteed to be a solo act.
Yeah.
All right, it comes with bass drum on your back and foot pedal to thump it.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
That's interesting.
That is.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, fretless guitar. Yeah, it's a funny thing. That's a strange period. I forget who it was, but someone could play it.
Well, there's that one brand. I think it's Vigier.
Yeah, the French.
Yeah, the French one.
Bumblefoot plays one, the double neck.
Who is it?
This guitar player.
And it's fretless?
Bumblefoot. Wow.
He plays a
Okay.
double neck fretless, or just one neck's fretless?
Double neck fretless.
Oh my
Is it like a 12 string and 6 or something?
I don't know.
A 12-string fretless. oh my god! with a Bixby.
Only on 6
You should build that guitar.
Do you just put strings on and never does it even have tuners?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way it's ever gonna
what
get
does it
tuned.
matter?
Yeah, it should have just robot tuners.
Just let it ride.
God.
The robot tuners was the darkest period.
Have you guys ever used those?
We tried to fix it a couple times because none of them worked.
They
and
are
some guy
fucking
brought
awful.
it to me, and I think it was me and Craig. I think it was Matthew who worked in between Craig stints, but there were all these videos on how to fix them. You have to reprogram them.
They are
reset them,
miserable.
which didn't work ultimately.
Yeah.
And even Gibson, I think, ultimately said, "Just take them off and throw them away." And
No, they just lost.
Yeah.
I think that's about where Gibson had a big problem because I remember reading an article that said that those were going to be on every Gibson guitar. I was like, I would never play a guitar.
They did a year where it
that was the standard. You had to
Remember
go
when
out of
they
your way.
changed the Les Paul to 90-year-old Les Paul's signature with a Sharpie?
Yep.
And it was really thick and funny.
And palsied. Yeah. I mean, poor guys, up there.
Yeah, they made some weird moves, but the robot tuners were the worst thing. 'Cause first of all, they look stupid. And if you can't tune your guitar, that's a whole nother issue.
Well, I had to string one of those one time.
And string, it was impossible. Imagine trying to do that at a gig.
Oh my god.
I mean, who signed off on that as being a great idea?
Gibson.
If you're out there, I assume you're not working in the guitar business anymore. Like pushing a broom in Peoria. Meanwhile,
Oh my god.
probably could have sued me in 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Fuck you, man. It sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Fuck you.
I mean, as like a
I mean, the robot
interesting alternate option.
I mean, for a little kid who doesn't know how to tune, maybe.
Sure.
But
Or if you just had one that worked and you played a lot of
I could see the
different
concept if you do the
Yeah,
different tuning
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That I could see being a thing. But
it's
still,
not
you
gonna
can
work.
tune your guitar. And there's also that thing where people like Mojo told me that he was talking. I forget which big producer he was talking to, but he said music really suffered when the electronic tuner came out.
Yeah, 'cause
when all of a sudden everyone's in tune.
All the Stones are out of tune.
Right, or people would tune by ear, or they'd tune to something, and it wasn't perfectly in tune, and it sounded more human. The human ear accepts it more. It's like when you listen to a Nashville record now, and everything's auto-tuned and everything's perfect, and you're like,
fake.
it doesn't sound like music. It sounds like what should be on in the shopping mall.
Well, the Neutral Milk Hotel albums are a perfect example of that. Like the Jeff Mangum stuff, that stuff is pitchy like crazy throughout, but it sounds amazing because of that. If you corrected that, like if somebody ran it through a filter and auto-tuned it into correct pitch, it would lose a great deal of its power.
I think that's what happens when they're doing all this. Like the beginning of All Down the Line on Exile on Main Street, like the opening riff is slightly out of tune.
Yeah.
Imagine Wild Horses in tune.
Right. But I read an interview with a guy asked Keith, he said, that All Down the Line's not in tune. He's like, yeah. I'm good at music, so I understand that. And he's like, we recut it in tune. And it didn't have the right vibe.
Yeah.
You just get those movements.
Yeah, he's like, that one just had the vibe. We recut one,
Exactly, yeah.
and then we listened to both, and it's like, that one's vibier. But it's like that too. But your ear.
But it's a real fine thing though.
It's the same
Because too
thing back to
much.
the guitar.
Right, it's not
sounds
really
like
attitude
shit.
where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what chord is that?
But it's the same thing back to the guitars where it's like not perfect.
They're not
but it's
perfect. Like perfection
Right,
is
yeah,
not
yeah,
a great
yeah.
thing.
It suits the song.
Right,
it suits
but you
the
can see
guitar.
there's that video of the
right.
Stones. They're about to play Hyde Park right after Brian Jones died. So there's a couple 100,000 people in a park, and they're in a truck like literally in the back of a truck, because that's the only way they can get them in there. And they're tuning to a harmonica.
Yeah.
Oh my
Someone's
God.
blowing the harmonica, and they're all going.
Yeah. Wow.
And they go on stage in front of a couple 100,000
It's
people.
like you blow it harder and it's sharper.
Yeah, or you can see
the
Allman
most
Brothers, like
reliable of
the one
pitched
video they have
instruments.
of the actual Allman Brothers with Dwayne at the Fillmore, and you could see they were going up to the Hammond.
Yeah.
Greg's just doing this, and you hear ping, 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 ping.
Because
ping.
also remember, it's way easier to tune a guitar to a Hammond than tuning a
Hammond to a guitar. Right.
Or any of those. It's like, that's it.
Right, that's the pitch we're playing.
you
at.
are
Right.
fixed.
Yeah, you're not gonna. Yeah,
not
this thing
gonna
got moved from Georgia.
Yeah.
You know?
You dropped it, it's a little flat.
At Stone's gigs,
Yeah.
you're
They all had those tuners, like those weird. Like,
Oh, right.
stroby-
right. Well,
Yeah,
that was the real
gigantic-
early one.
Yeah.
But they had strobe contuners and strobes.
Yeah.
You know, but those
Hans
weren't.
has those on his bench. He still uses it.
Right, I used to use one for a fireplace.
Yeah, it's just nice. It
You
glows.
turn it, it goes, zzz, and it's kind of colorful.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Remember
Yeah,
Danny
fair
used to
enough.
collect them, and I had a
The
Constrobe
big-
tuner. I had to sell it to Danny because I need to pay my rent.
The big gray one.
Yeah, I had a big brown one. They were like nice brown sides. But
Nice.
this picture of Dwayne Allman, like backstage, I have it hanging in my shop, and he's tuning to that one.
Wow.
Like the really early brown one.
Yeah.
And
You
that
know,
microphone's for acoustic.
Yeah,
Put
imagine
that
that.
up to your acoustic.
That's hilarious.
And that's tube. So
Right.
I think Kirk Yano gave me that. You can use that as an amp.
You
as
can
a
turn it into an
preamp.
amp. Right.
You can do a
Probably
line
sound
out
amazing, yeah.
and crank it, and it's a tube mic.
Right, it's like what people used to do with like a phonograph, or like
Yeah.
Dave Davies used to play through the stereo and then plug it right out to their
Yeah.
amp. So they're basically using their stereo as a distortion box.
And the Keith Richards trick, you use the mic from that tape machine.
The tape machines.
Yeah.
It's like awesome. You
Yeah, just
run
using
the
it as a
line.
tube preamp.
Exactly.
You know,
You get that cool delay.
Yeah, it's what like the beginning of Street Fighting Man is just an
Yeah.
acoustic guitar through one of
Into
those
that.
completely distorted.
Right,
When
right,
you listen
just
to it, you're like,
blown
oh
out.
yeah, listen to that. That's not
Yeah.
an electric guitar. It's an
Yeah.
acoustic guitar. It has that percussive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like and the drum kit they use is one of those fold-out jazz kits. You ever see one of those?
Oh, like the
you can carry it in
collapsible
a
kit? Yeah.
suitcase. I played
Yeah.
with a guy who had one of those, and that's what the drums are on that track.
That's
Because
fun.
Charlie was a jazz guy. He's like, oh, I'll use these on a track.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's one of those
Sounds like
fold-out jazz.
cardboard.
Yeah, it's just so
Yeah.
weird. Like, now everyone has $1 million this. He's playing with like the fold-out thing.
Right,
He's
just
playing on a
jump,
tape
made it
recorder.
work.
And it's
Yeah.
the best track ever. You know,
I mean, that's just the kind of MacGyver approach to like, what do we have? Okay, we'll make that work.
Because now people can record at home. You know, it's not tube gear anymore, but people do really cool shit on their computer.
Yeah.
Because like they're just trying shit.
It's like,
like
whatever suits the song.
yeah, you can't like record a record in Nashville and have it be. I remember like a friend of ours, I don't want to name his name, but like a friend of ours, big Nashville producer guy, did a lot of huge records out of Nashville, and he was like, if you don't produce the record to sound a certain way, Nashville radio just will simply never, ever, ever play it.
Yeah.
They're not allowed.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah.
has to be ignorable, ubiquitous music for a shopping mall. They don't want anybody going, oh, what's that sound?
Yeah.
Right.
They just want that background. He's like, if I produced a record the way I wanted it to sound, it would just simply could never get played.
Right.
Someone listen to it and go like, nope, cannot happen. It has to have that sound.
Yep.
Yeah. That same sound. So it's the same guitar player on every fucking record. Same guys write those terrible
Yeah.
songs
The
about a
same
pickup truck
fake
and
accent.
my best girl down by the lake kind
Right.
of bullshit. Like, I guess people like that. But
Yeah.
other people like song they really learn to literally suck the soul out of music. Like,
Yeah.
how can we write a song where the words literally mean nothing, but
And try to
sound
mean
right to
everything.
this
Like whatever
music?
you can grab on to.
Right.
Right, just the broadest possible net that you're casting. Because hey, this is a product. We're making a product.
Yeah,
here.
we're making a very ignorable music that literally has not a single bit of meaning or soul.
Sure.
And
sure.
they've achieved that.
Yeah.
Literally. Like, you listen to that music, you're like, ugh.
I mean,
And there's-
if you think of it as a separate thing, if
Right.
you think of it just
we're making
canned soup.
right, we're making, like a piece
then
of bread that tastes like cardboard.
You've done an incredible job at that.
Right. It's really sad. Because you listen to like Waylon Jennings or, like
Right.
from the 70s, like, that music almost can kick your ass by itself. Like, it's so nasty and mean. Like, it's just so real. Like, some of that shit's out of tune. And, like, he doesn't even come in on the right beat, but who cares?
Yeah.
He'll kick your ass if you said anything to him about it. Well, that wasn't quite right. You got hit in the head with a beer bottle.
Yeah.
What? What the fuck? I'm just
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna eat that microphone. But it was so badass. They were
Yeah.
probably like, let him do what he wants. The music rules.
Yeah.
Like,
Break the bottle, cut your throat.
Yeah, this is that that's what people wanted to hear in Gillies and Texas in 1972.
Yeah.
Like, that was what they wanted to hear was like rules. They want to hear ubiquitous nonsense. Whalen meant it. Like he wasn't saying bullshit. That guy meant it for real. He was a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Fucking great guitar player. I mean, listen to his live records. Like his guitar playing is so simple and awesome. Like he'll just go like and that's like the solo, and you're like, best guitar solo ever.
Right.
You play a million fucking notes, it's not going to sound as cool as that guy just sounded. Just doing that.
It just worked for the thing.
Yeah, sometimes simple's great, and that's what kind of gets lost.
Yeah.
It's like just like Redheaded Stranger, like the Willie Nelson record. When you turn that in, they're like, oh, these are great demos. When are you going to make the album? I mean, it's like, that's the alpha. They're like, what do you mean? It doesn't have not a lot of instruments on it. He's like, yeah, I didn't want a lot of instruments on it. I just wanted it to be like this. And they were like, we can't release this. He's like, technically you have to. Read the contract. And they put it out and it changed the way people recorded that music. Before that, they were like, where's all the horns and the strings and all that shit? He's like, doesn't need that shit.
Yep.
Just cool. I have a guitar.
It's funny.
But like, it's really like that. Like, our whole culture has become that way in some way. And then there's a backlash to it, where people want to go local.
Yeah,
people listen to vinyl again. It's cool that we discovered that music sounded really good at a certain point.
Yeah.
Because when you put it on vinyl of anything, like if you haven't heard, say, Led Zeppelin on vinyl, you still haven't heard those albums.
Sure.
You haven't really heard what those drums. So like, when the levee breaks, when those drums start, and you hear it on vinyl.
Man.
But you hear it on streaming, it sounds cool still.
Yeah.
But it's not that thing.
That is.
You hear that in three-dimensional. When you hear that stick, the way he hit.
You can hear the creaks in the pedals.
You hear everything.
Yeah.
You hear, and then those guitars come in.
The way the harmonica just crashes through.
Yeah, it was produced so beautifully, but if you put that on, MP3, you start crushing it all. It's not really stereo anymore, but it loses all the texture, and it still sounds cool.
Yeah.
But it's not the same thing. When you put it on a vinyl, like, now you hear the mix, the way it was mixed.
Like reissue guitars. They're still alright.
Yeah.
But
a guitar could be okay. Like, you can play a Mexican Strat and you're like, this is a really good guitar. This piece of wood's ringing.
Yeah.
It's not hard to make a Fender style guitar, it's a body cut out in this shape. So it's really depending on like
what you do with it.
Yeah, if you get a good piece of wood and you don't shoot the lacquer too thick and this is tight, probably sound pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same with the Gibson style guitar. Like the Epiphones never sound anything like the Gibson.
Totally.
But
I mean, a big part of it is just that they feel totally different.
Right.
They feel like they are, which is basically dipped in plastic.
That I think is the biggest problem. That's why we do Les Paul makeovers. The lacquer, I think, is one of the biggest problems. Also, they're buying wood in such massive quantities. It's probably not the most toneful wood.
Well, the feel of a guitar really is very important in the sense that the texture of the thing is just very different when it's some thin
lacquer. These kind of guitars, like I asked Damien Probit once, I was like, his guitars just have this sound, and I was like, why do your guitars sound like that? Like, what is the thing? And he said his theory is when he puts the pieces of wood together, he wants to use as little glue as possible. So when he fits the neck in, he's like, the neck should be able to go in there and just be able to hold it.
Yeah.
And then you just do a teeny bit of glue and it'll stay. And the top is the same way. So you could do that, and that's probably what the Gibson guys knew in the 50s, is that you cut the pieces to fit together really well, and then you don't use a lot of glue. Where now they don't fit together even close, and they just fill it with glue. Or a machine does. Like a guy.
Yeah.
So that he said that's why I think my guitars sound like that, is the pieces are really smushed together, and there's a tiny bit of glue. So the sound will come out of it. It's totally logical. But you have to do that by hand.
Yeah.
A machine can't quite do that. So there's tons of glue in there, and the pieces don't fit together that well. So they're mostly glue. So you're probably losing sound in that layer of it. Totally. And then put this horrible plastic lacquer type shit on top of that. And then a really crappy set of pickups.
Yeah.
And then you got a $7,000 pile of shit. That's what you have. It looks like a Les Paul, but it doesn't sound like one.
Because it's like,
I think I should get some later tonight.
And the way I do it is, you just put a jig next to it down the whole neck.
Well, the Gibson guitar never looks like this.
Yeah.
It never gets to this point. Like, it's some machine, like some cyborg from space that just comes and does something. But I assume it's a machine puts those guitars together. I assume. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's not some guy sitting there carving the neck pocket anymore.
Not like how
There's
it
no
was,
fucking
it
way.
was.
But in the 50s it was.
Yeah.
It was a guy like you who worked at Gibson who put together a guitar.
I was like, there was a V-neck guy. And that's
Right,
like what
but
G
those were
always
handmade
said.
guitars because they weren't
Yeah,
making that many
absolutely.
of them. He said there were like 5 guys who carved the necks mostly.
Yeah.
You know, like, but there weren't a lot of guys, and those were guys who were probably brought up by from Europe, so they were probably like, you know, violin makers still. Guys who really had skills. And by the 60s, those guys were probably retired. Or the company was built and they didn't want to pay this guy anymore, or we want young people in here.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's.
Well, all the numbers
We need
go
new
up.
blood in here. Not
Right.
these guys who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they want to go slow and hand make shit. We can't have that.
Right, code
You know,
for.
We're gonna make.
I want to make more money by paying.
Yeah, we need lots more money. Get rid of these old dudes. That's why Les, you know, like, but you know, Les, who I worked for at Chelsea, would go to Kalamazoo in the early 70s and try to find those guys, and he found lots of them. They were retired, living in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
And he would go to a neighbor and go like, you know anybody who worked in the factory up the road? And they'd be like, yeah, Ed at the end of the block worked there. And he'd go
Yeah.
knock on his door. He's like a Nicaraguan guy from New York
Right.
City.
with some crazy
And
take-home guitar.
he'd say, hey, you know, someone told me you worked in the factory down the block, and he'd probably be like, what's it to you?
Right.
You know, like, get the fuck off my porch, basically. He'd be
Right.
like, I'll give you $100 an hour to talk to me. He'd be
Yeah.
like, you're
Come on in.
Yeah, this was 1972.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
And they would tell him everything. And then they go in the basement.
Yep.
Here's an L5.
Yeah, right.
He said they all had shit in the basement.
Yeah.
Or
And they go,
here's-
my friend
here's like-
Bob lives down there. He made the flying V's.
Oh.
He would like $100 an hour. Done.
Right.
Bob's got flying V's in the basement.
Here's
Those guys had stuff.
Les Paul
Yeah.
custom.
He said he went down
with,
some kind of 4 F5 mandolins.
There's prototypes, so they're like,
Yeah, they were allowed to make. These guys were making
Exactly.
shit at home.
their fingerboard cracked. I was gonna throw it away.
Right.
Right.
But they were allowed to make stuff.
Yeah.
And they were all making it at home anyway.
Yeah, here's my 57 Les Paul custom with 3 Firebird pickups.
Or they just make
There's,
themselves
you know,
a
some
guitar.
crazy.
Or they make them for their friends and sell them on the side. You know,
Right.
but he said they all had stuff. Les had incredible things. Like he had all those for a minute, like flying V's, a bunch of them. Mid-60s ones with chrome parts, and everyone said they were fucking not real. And they were. There are other ones.
Yeah.
You know, there were still bodies laying around. So
Yeah.
the employees could finish them.
Yeah, it's a model that didn't do
They just
well.
didn't have nickel
Screw
parts
it.
anymore. It was mid-60s. So they had chrome parts. But there's guitars like that, and everyone would assume they were fake.
Yeah.
You know, but like, someone's like, "Could I have one of these?" They're probably like, "Whatever, fuck, we're never gonna make that guitar again."
Yeah.
Flying V
Right,
guitar.
right, that thing
is
sucks.
stupid.
Yeah.
Just take it.
Yeah.
And then you know, like humbuckers around with chrome.
Yep.
So they finished it. You know, like, oh, this is awesome. Looks
Yeah.
like Lonnie Mac's guitar. You know, like, no one cared. You know, like, there's all those weird anomalies. But anyway, we should start to wrap up. It's a shame we didn't have Mojo here today, but that does leave Mojo for the next time, unless he blows us up again, in which case, Mojo. But he would be a very interesting podcast. He's a very interesting fellow and incredibly knowledgeable. But it was always fun to catch up with
Always good to see you.
Josh. And thank you to Daniel, who does the podcast for us, and Connor, who helps us with everything. And James, of course, is his place. And thank you for watching or listening wherever you are, and we hope to see you all again soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye, y'all.